What methods of stimulus would bring the best results in terms of job creation? First off, and both Democrats and Republicans can take credit for what's happened in the last few years, but mostly small employers can take credit for what's happened in the last few years. I'm one of those people. 162,000 new jobs have been created in Minnesota. We've got, and I'm just going to go, we've got the 5th fastest growing economy in the country, according to the U.S. Bureau of Economics and Analysis. We've got the 8th best state for business. And that's not some liberal magazine saying that's Forbes. Remember Steve Forbes ran as a Republican for president? It made a 12-point jump in being the best state for business. It was the largest jump any state had made. So we're doing some things right. Not just Democrats and Republicans, but mostly employers themselves are doing some good things here in Minnesota. In terms of what we can do in the future, there's 2 key things. There's lots of things, but 2 key things. Number one, and I talk to CEOs all the time as the chair of the Commerce Committee, the number one thing that they say, make sure you give us an educated workforce. They don't talk about taxes, they don't talk about regulations, they don't talk about anything else. It's their number one priority. They talk about give us students that can work, that know what they're doing, give us that educated workforce. That's why we're in Minnesota, that's why we're growing in Minnesota, that's why we're going to stay in Minnesota. And that's from folks as close as our Fortune 500, number 2 on the Fortune 500 list, CHS. Just a few miles off to the side of us here. So that's number one. Number 2 is it doesn't hurt to give them a little bit of their money back. And I actually chief authored a bill that gave them $346 million back. That was the largest tax cut for business in state history. Now, which one of you guys, I'm seeing time over here and one over here, but all right, I give up, but it was the largest tax cut for small businesses in Minnesota state history. Done?
I'm always happy to hear a legislator talk about small business and how important it is and how it's where the jobs come from. Because it's the only place jobs come from. Businesses create jobs. When states create jobs, they tax one guy and give to another guy, and for every job they create, they destroy a little bit more than one. That's the economic reality. You can talk about education. People talk about how the University of Minnesota creates jobs by giving us an educated workforce. At best, that's off in the future. That's a distant investment. And the business people, again, I'm not surprised they come to someone like Mr. Atkins and say, oh, how wonderful things are, give us an educated workforce. So that's the only thing you can do. And what are they going to say? I hate this state and I'm leaving. That's what Medtronic has effectively said. That's what Burger King effectively said to the United States. They don't talk about that, they do it. And they don't usually do it by saying, I hate this state, I'm leaving. They just don't locate here in the first place. And we have some of that too. So I think it's important to remember that the premise of the question is wrong. The state government or the national government can't create jobs. All it can do is shift money around. And that's never a net benefit.
I don't know, cutting taxes, creating an educated workforce, streamlining regulations, those all seem like pretty good things if I'm a small business owner, and I am. And I support those things. I didn't need the full 30 for that, no. Uh-oh. What we mess up, Mr. Robertson?